Hi folks, we're in the Cobb TV studio with Chairwoman Lisa Cupid for our regular conversation. And Chairwoman, no offense, but I'm kind of easing over here so we can remain socially distanced.
Yes.
I know we both have our masks
Yes.
with us, but here in the studio we want to kind of try to keep things as safe as possible. And I know that's what you want to talk about, specifically COVID and the declaration of emergency that exists in Cobb County.
Yes, thank you, Ross. This is a dire time for so many of us nationally, and make no mistake about it, we are having challenges here at the home front in Cobb County. We learned some statistics from Cobb Douglas Public Health recently about the burden that many of our healthcare workers are facing with the increasing rate of COVID transmission. And when we put the order in place, the rate of transmission was about 6.5% times the high rate of transmission of 100 cases out of 100,000 people. Since then, that rate has jumped to 771 cases out of 100,000 people. And where we're seeing an impact certainly is in the number of people around us who are having to leave work or leave school because of COVID transmission. But where I've personally seen it is in the urgent care facilities around Cobb County, dealing with my own family matters. And I have just been shocked and amazed to see the number of children teeming in those facilities, people being turned away. There's one facility where urgent care actually ran out of rapid tests, and from talking to the staff there, they're just simply becoming depleted, not just in resources and tests, but in staff. And at the end of the day, if we overburden our healthcare system, we are going to lose the backbone of what keeps our county healthy and safe. And I believe that the emergency order was critical for us to put that in place to make sure that we don't lose that.
Right, and that order does allow us to activate our emergency operations plan, which is in place. We're able to get some resources to people who need it. It does not mandate that businesses take any action.
I appreciate you
But
sharing
but
that.
again, you said that it was important just to get out there to emphasize where we stand.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, within our county facilities, we do have a mask mandate in our public spaces, where people cannot distance. But we did not want to conflict with the governor's order or impose any restrictions to or on our businesses. However, they certainly can be encouraged that if they were to put forward measures to help reduce COVID transmission, that they are being consistent with the county and that they have our support.
One thing too we did, we showed the folks, we took a tour of our stockpile. Last year, we decided, because of the initial situation with COVID, that we would start stockpiling using federal CARES money, certain items, just to be prepared should this happen again. And here we are.
Here we are. We did that to be, in the sense that we thought, overly precautious. And, looking at the way things were a few months ago, we thought that we were headed out of this pandemic, and here we are. So I'm grateful for the foresight of our emergency management director, Cassie, and her team in ensuring that we do have resources in place that can help support our staff during this time.
So when we do something like this, you put out the declaration of emergency. Obviously, this is a very contentious topic among certain members of society.
Yeah.
Everything's been an argument these days, but how do you deal with what I'm sure has been in your email inbox about those who don't think that that's an appropriate action to take at this time?
Yes. Certainly there are people who are on both sides of this matter, people who think that we should be taking no precaution to help stem COVID transmission, and people who think that we should be mandating masks not only in the county but through our schools and through public spaces. What I can share is this: even though I've heard from individuals who certainly have questioned what we're doing in putting our mask mandate in place for the county and our emergency order, and I could understand their desire to operate freely and individually, my concern is for the public health. And right now, our public health experts are telling us that the rate of COVID transmission is growing exponentially and is causing great concern over our capacity to be able to reduce the spread. So from a public health perspective, I have to trust the public health experts. You know, the people that I'm hearing from that are telling me not to take precautions are not public health experts. And, you know, when we have other projects within the county, if we have the construction of a facility, I'm not going to depend on those who are not construction experts to tell me how to build our facility. So why should I allow those who are not public health experts to drive our public health policy? That doesn't mean that people in the public shouldn't be heard. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be considered. But at the end of the day, I can only be as effective as I am willing to trust those who are responsible for guiding the county from a professional perspective, and to consider the public health impact with that, which is why we do have some other measures in place that if you are able to distance once you come in our facilities, you could take off your masks. And if you have a health impact, you can certainly speak to your supervisor about taking off your mask, and that allows us to consider individual circumstances. But I have to trust our experts in the field, and they're telling us, do what you can to help reduce the spread.
And one of the items that goes along with the pandemic is, of course, what's going on with a lot of renters in Cobb County, across the state of Georgia and across the country. There was a significant court ruling last night.
Yes.
That means the evictions ban could be coming to a rather quick end.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people that are questioning their future.
Yes.
We have a lot of people that are working to help out in any way possible and continue to do so.
That's right. Cobb is fortunate to have a partnership with service providers within the county, with our chief magistrate court judge and others here on our staff to help address those who are facing eviction at this time. And we're fortunate, you know, you shared an article with us that across the country, that with the emergency rental assistance dollars that states and local governments have received, a lot of them have only given out about 11% of those dollars. Here in Cobb, we have surpassed that significantly and given out 60% of those funds, because we are extremely sensitive to the vulnerability of our residents. But on top of those programs, we've had many individuals who've been volunteering in the community and going above and beyond amongst our staff to help people one-on-one. Because even though we've given out 60% of those funds, if you're not falling within that 60% and haven't received your check yet, you still are, you know, in a challenging position. And so my office, we've been setting up office hours every week to meet with people one-on-one. It's been wonderful to be able to help people through this time, but it's also been very humbling because many people are facing challenges. And I think it's because of us taking these situations to heart that enables us to move expeditiously with our ERA funds, because you know, we know that if you don't have housing, that really everything else it becomes a second and third priority. Really, that's one of the most important things, housing and food, which is why we've funded that with our federal dollars. But I just want to say thank you to our service providers. Thank you for those volunteering to help with this effort. And thank you for our citizens that continue to help push us to be mindful of residents who are in need at this time.
So I want to take that opportunity to shout out our website, cobbcounty.org/ERA, where all the information and more that you'd ever want to learn about that program is located, as well as how to start the application process. As you mentioned, we give out 60%, but we still have 40% of our money to give out for both rental and utility assistance. So
Yes,
if you're
thank you.
watching this and in need of any sort of assistance, please go to that website and start.
Yes.
I also want to give a shout out to our chief magistrate, you already mentioned him, Brenda Murphy, who's going to be participating in another White House symposium, a virtual symposium about this and highlighting our successes here, because as you mentioned, across the country, they haven't had that kind of success.
Exactly. And I appreciate his initiative in making sure that there's a safety net at the court system should any tenant that's even applied for our ERA funds still ends up in front of him, that he has service providers right there to assist, including Cobb Legal Aid. Since you're giving shout outs, I definitely want to shout out Commissioner Richardson and Commissioner Sheffield, because they, along with volunteers in their community, went door to door in apartment complexes to let them know about our program. So right now it's just all hands on deck, because again, we want to make sure that no person has to live without having a roof over their head.
Yeah. And we kind of want to wrap this thing up, I think, by talking about an initiative that you've started as well to make sure that the youth of this county knows what this county's all about and how this county works.
Yes, thank you. You know, in reflecting over the amount of time I've been here at the county, I realize that there's some people who I met as elementary schoolers who are now graduating and going to college. And if there's anything that I think that I felt convicted by, was how much I could have armed them with becoming more active in our communities and also understanding more about local government. So this is one of the first programs that my office has been working on, and I'm grateful with the support of our county manager, with staff, that we're going to kick off our first youth commission to expose young people to what we do at local government and hopefully to help build some leadership amongst our communities.
So for more information on that, we've been putting that information out on our social media and in your newsletters. But we've also have some information on the website, cobbcounty.org. And I think you said the application deadline's today, the day we're taping this. So.
Yes, it is today. So if you hear this, please reach out to a young person who may be interested soon, because those deadlines, the deadline is today.
Yeah, act quickly on that. And Chairwoman, thanks again for coming in here.
Thank you.
We'll hopefully see you again in a matter of a couple of days. And we just ask everybody to visit cobbcounty.org and go to cobbcounty.org/subscribe, where you have a whole laundry list of publications that we put out that will go right to your email inbox about what's going on in this county. And we hope you participate in that and learn more about Cobb County.
Thank you, Ross. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chairwoman.